Hey guys, I am the Comics Kid 2099. I wanted to do a quick off-the-cuff review for Green Arrow Hunter's Moon. I got this book last week. This is a relatively new printing of some old comics from the 1980s. I think specifically Mike Grell's run on Green Arrow began in 1987, I think. And by the way, if you have not read Longbow Hunters, I would suggest reading that before you read this. This is the beginning of his ongoing run. So it starts with issue 1 and this collects the first 6 issues. But in a lot of ways, this is volume 2 and Longbow Hunters is really the beginning of this run. Technically, Longbow Hunters was a mini-series, but it really does feed into this run. There are a couple of characters who are in this who were in Longbow Hunters, and if you have not read that, you might have a little bit of trouble with understanding this. Maybe you won't, maybe you will, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've read Longbow Hunters, and I needed the reminder that this was giving us, but I wonder how easy it would be to read this if you have not read Longbow Hunters at all. Anyway, I mentioned this book on my Facebook page, so if you have not liked my Facebook page, that is an incentive to go and do that, because you might get to hear me talk about stuff that I might not necessarily get around to talking about in my videos. It's just that after I read this book, I was thinking, you know what, most of the time I have negative things to say about whatever it is that I am reviewing. Even the stuff that I really like, usually I have a few negative things to say, and I'm not always reading and reviewing stuff that I absolutely love. This is something that I don't really have a whole lot of negative to say. I thought this was a pretty darn good book. If you are a fan of Arrow, and by the way, I'm pretty sure the television series Arrow is the reason that this book was printed, because I've gone pretty much my entire comic book reading career, something like 14 years, and I've heard lots of people talk about how wonderful Mike Grell's run on Green Arrow is, and this is the first of his run, his actual ongoing run, to be collected. I'm pretty sure it's because Arrow is gaining in popularity on television, so now DC is thinking, oh, okay, if people like that, maybe they're going to like the comic books which that TV show is based on. And I'm thinking, if you are a fan of Arrow and you have not familiarized yourself with the comic book Green Arrow, you might be disappointed if you pick this up expecting the TV show. The TV show, as other reviewers have pointed out, especially in Season 2, it is much more of a DC Universe TV show, and it doesn't really feel beholden to just using Green Arrow characters, because there's not a lot of Green Arrow characters out there. So the show kind of has to dig deeper into the DC Universe if they want to have a lot of villains that they can use and have this show have a little bit of longevity. So if you are expecting something kind of like the Arrow TV show with this book, I would say rein those expectations in a little bit. You are not really going to get that. If anything, this is a lot closer to maybe the first 5 or 6 episodes of Arrow, when things were very, air quotes, realistic, and he didn't really have any trick arrows. I think he had one trick arrow in that whole group of episodes, and to be fair, he doesn't really use trick arrows in the show, but it was mostly just gangsters and evil people without superpowers that he was fighting, and that's basically what this is. This is 6 issues, and you get 3 short stories, 2-part stories, and there's not really a whole lot of, air quotes, unrealistic stuff here. You get this biological weapon that it was a joint project from the Russians and the Chinese. That's the most outlandish thing in this entire book. So I feel like it's pretty realistic, and I feel like if that's what you liked about Arrow before we started getting Mirakuru and super speed and stuff like that, then you are probably going to like this book. Oddly enough, I don't mind that this story is very realistic and real world kind of. I usually do not like it when you have superpowers and superhuman characters and then creators try and do it, air quotes, realistically. Almost always, I hate it when creators try and do that. A good example of that not really working that well, in my humble opinion, was John Byrne's run on Superman, where he really tried to depower Superman a lot, and anytime you had the potential for something really fun and sci-fi and kind of outlandish, he would always tone it down and make it as real world as he could, and I hated that. For some reason, I don't hate it here. I think part of it is that Green Arrow, when you get right down to it, is more of a realistic kind of real world character that you could in theory see in the real world, opposed to say Superman, who is an alien who has 5,000 or 6,000 powers. You don't really want to see that sort of thing done in a realistic kind of way. Overall, if you are interested in getting into Green Arrow, maybe you've been watching Arrow but you never were a fan of the comics, I would go ahead and suggest reading this, but bear in mind, this is not really going to bear a lot of resemblance to the series that you've been watching. I really love the TV series. I also really love the Green Arrow of the comics, but they are two totally different things, and in this case, I'm okay with it. Also, I really like that this isn't some big sprawling 6-issue storyline that could have been condensed into a 3 or 4 issue storyline. We get 3 complete stories in this book, and I am absolutely fine with that. I really hope that DC Comics does another printing. They go further with Mike Grell's run. I would really like to see all of Mike Grell's run collected. I would also like to see Chuck Dixon's run collected. I believe Chuck Dixon was the guy who came after Mike Grell. I would like to see what he did on Green Arrow. I would love to see all of the stuff from the late 80s, early 90s of Green Arrow. I would really love to see that stuff get collected and presented for audiences, kind of coming off the tail of my video I did last week about 10 different series that need to be collected in trade. I would love to see DC go further with Green Arrow, and I feel like as long as Arrow is as popular as it is, I think we are going to have that. So in addition to Arrow being a pretty awesome show, we're also getting another benefit of that, and I am hugely pumped for that. Overall, I would say definitely go out and buy this. You will almost certainly like it. I cannot think of any reason why you would not like it. I loved it. I wanted to talk about this mostly because I get the feeling that I don't talk about the stuff that I love with no reserves or conditions at all, and this is one of those things. So I am done talking about this book. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with a different kind of video. So until then, I will see you guys later. Have a great day.